I am joined by Hayden-James Berra, the assistant coach for the Northern Capitals. Welcome.
Thanks a lot for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh, no, anytime. So, as we know, the Capitals have put in a bid for the Kraft Hockeyville. What does this mean for the Northern Capitals?
Well, I think it's definitely very exciting to be approached for Kraft Hockeyville. Obviously, the money that would go to the rink in Fort St. James would be massive just for the upgrades and to keep the Winter Classic going. But I think it would mean a lot to our team, our region, and even the province of British Columbia. I would say for female hockey in general. We're working extremely hard to move our players on and to grow our program and any way, shape or form that we can do that, whether it's through college commitments for our players or through something as extravagant as Kraft Hockeyville would be a big step forward for the Northern Capitals, for caribou hockey, but I also think for female hockey in British Columbia as well.
Well, I totally agree. And so speaking of the outdoor game, I believe last year was the first female outdoor game, the first time the Capitals took note in that. What did that mean for the Capitals, and how important is the outdoor game to the caribou hockey program and to Northern BC?
Well, last year, it was obviously the first time that the girls in female hockey had the opportunity to play in an outdoor game, which was phenomenal. I mean, you grow up, especially in Canada, in the northern parts anyway, skating on outdoor rinks, always imagining playing in the NHL, scoring that overtime goal or whatever the case may be. And then, for both the guys and the girls, being able to actually play in an outdoor game in a league setting in front of an extravagant amount of fans is, it's the dream. As a coach, it's very cool to see, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't envious of the opportunity that they got. I mean, when I played for the Caribou Cougars, to have an opportunity to play an outdoor game would have meant the world. So, I believe that not only is the outdoor game for the girls and caribou hockey kind of creating not only a culture but a mark on BC hockey, I think it's something that moving forward is only going to get bigger and more acclaimed by the rest of Western Canada for sure.
Definitely. And, the Northern Capitals being a part of caribou hockey, of course, that was a very recent thing in 2019. How important has that been for the girls program?
Well, it's been extremely important. Caleb Wilson has done a tremendous job on the media side of things, really trying to integrate all the teams together as one unified whole. And that's something him and I have spoken on numerous times. Also, Trevor Sprague obviously is the quarterback, making all of this even possible. And we're all just trying to do our part to make sure that we're integrating each of our teams as a whole. As far as the girls go, like I said, we're trying to grow the girls game in Northern BC and in our province, and like Kraft Hockeyville, like getting girls scholarships, just becoming a part of something bigger than just the Northern Capitals, becoming a part of a program under the Caribou Hockey name and banner. It only furthers your program as a single team, because it's obvious. It's becoming obvious that the province of BC knows who caribou hockey is and what that means, not just for the name, but all the teams involved for sure.
No, definitely. And so now we're going to kind of take it back to obviously talking more about you. So, you played, junior A. How is your experience playing junior A, and how is your experience there translated into coaching?
Yeah, my experience in junior A was a little bit different than most other people. I played for Trevor, actually, for the Caribou Cougars in my 17-year-old year. So that was, a fantastic segue into junior. We were run exactly like a junior A team. So when I got to Cowichan Valley for my first stop, it was I was already comfortable with the idea and the commitment and everything that went into it. I was one of those players, though, that, the first year I stuck in Cowichan Valley and had a great relationship with my head coach. And unfortunately, we were bottom of the ranks. And he unfortunately was released at the end of January. And, the new coach came in and decided to retool things. And that's kind of what set off a bunch of trades for me. I played in, every Western province in Canada and played on 5 different teams over the 3 years. And I mean, it wasn't ideal at the time. But what I will say about it in terms of how did it translate into coaching was I got to play with virtually every type of player there is, every type of personality, and I got to play for a lot of different coaches who obviously themselves have a lot of different personalities. And I always knew one day that I would want to get back into hockey in a coaching capacity in some way, shape, or form. And I was very mindful of that even when I was playing. So I totally kind of keyed in on certain aspects of all my coaches and all my teammates of what I felt made us better as a team and what I didn't feel, and kind of stored them away in my head just to for the day that coaching did come for me, so that I kind of knew what I felt worked best. I could hopefully bring that to whatever team I was coaching, and do my best to avoid all the things that I didn't felt worked. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the junior ride was a long one. It was tedious. It was a lot of moving, a lot of trades, and but at the end of the day, I did get to finish off in Saskatchewan and Kindersley. I got to play for a phenomenal coach. We were ranked, I think, 11 or 12th in the country.
Nice.
Played with some of the best players I've ever played with in my life there, and it was a good way to cap off my junior career before moving on, for sure.
No, definitely. And so you mentioned that you got to play for Trevor in Caribou. So you started out in Caribou hockey, Caribou Cougars at the time, obviously. How cool is it to be able to come back and give back to the program now as a coach?
I mean, it means everything. I remember being 17 on the Caribou Cougars, and seeing the day-to-day things that our coaches were, Trevor and Brian McLean, and I just getting to see what they got to do day-to-day as coaches. I remember thinking, that's going to be for me one day. And then I was fortunate enough to be an assistant coach for the Caribou Cougars in 2018 and 2019, and get to learn from Tyler Bruff, who has won everything as a player, and then has done extensive things as a coach, and then also to coach alongside my brother as well. So that in itself, to have that opportunity, was a dream come true. And then to cap it off with a provincial title was really more than just a cherry on top of the cake. When I was 17, we lost in the final, and it was one of those things that you kind of never get over. You come so close, and it unfortunately just doesn't land the way you hope it would. And then you come back as a coach, and you try to do everything you can to ensure that doesn't happen again, and we succeeded. And yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic year for sure. And then now, obviously with COVID and everything, we're not exactly in games, but we're hoping to do the same thing with the Northern Capitals this year. And we're hoping to, when we do get back to games, to be the team to beat, and to really go into any type of league play fully prepared and fully ready to take advantage of the time we've put in during this hiatus right now.
Oh, that's really good. And obviously, we've been dealing with COVID-19 during this time. So it's, heavily impacted the way that we can coach and run our programs. So, what have you been doing, within what you can do within COVID to really give, the best advantages to your players? And I know we had Elena Matthews, from the Dallas Stars, write a letter to the girls. How did that come about? And what have you been doing to help your team?
Yeah, so I'll start with Alana. So I'm in law school right now, and I was in a sports law course. Obviously, I'm home doing it online because of COVID, so that's why I've had the opportunity to coach the girls this year, which has been, like I said, just been life-saving at this point with everything going on. But yeah, Alana was our sports law professor brought her in to talk to us a little bit about her journey to getting to be vice president of the Dallas Stars, and getting to where she is. And she was a former women's hockey player herself, so I reached out to her after and said, hey, I'm coaching the Northern Capitals. This is what we're about, and this is our team. I feel like I'm pretty much talking to someone who used to play on the Northern Capitals. Pretty much is what the way I approached it. And she was incredibly receptive, and was kind enough to write us a personalized letter, which was I couldn't have asked for anything for more than that, to be honest. And the girls, their jaws were on the floor when they kind of saw that came about. So that was just a way, COVID-19 or not, I think those are opportunities you have to take if it can impact your team in a positive way and kind of get them to see things a little bit differently. And I think it resonated with our girls very well. And then in terms of other things, I think, I saw Mario talk with you a couple of weeks ago, and I think he nailed it. I think we've been keeping our practices fresh. I think we've really been monitoring when we should do systems or when we should do skill work or whatever the case may be. And I think that stems into the communication that we have with our players. We're always checking in with our players, not just our leadership group, but everyone, and just making sure that we're all on the same page, and just kind of always asking them for their input and just in terms of what they'd like to see out of the week. And we do our best to accommodate that because, at the end of the day, as coaches, we have to show up and have our practice plans ready and have, some type of idea in mind. And it's definitely been harder to do that when you don't have games to look forward to. But to our girls' credit, they've been nothing but outstanding. They come in ready to go every single day. They work extremely hard. And, to give you a little taste of what that means exactly, we gave them a Tuesday 6 a.m. practice off this year, and every single girl showed up. So we made an optional skills practice, and there was no hesitation. Every girl showed up, and I've never seen that before in a team before. So you're not only are you dealing with COVID and no games and grinding through school and all these procedures. That was our idea of, giving them a little bit of breathing room, take some time away from the rink if you want this week. You've been doing everything you can, and every single one of them showed up, and I've never seen that before. So that was phenomenal.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess this is a good segue into my next question. In your approach, what are your philosophies for your team?
Well, my philosophy has never really changed from being a player to being a coach. I think the biggest foundation that I've always tried to implement as a player and a coach is just you have to be selfless. I'm a big believer that you can't win with individuals in hockey. I think it's too hard of a sport. I think there's too many pieces in place. I believe when you're getting your team ready and moving along in the season, and you're seeing that growth, and you're getting them ready for a playoff run and a playoff push, and trying to make a run at a championship, I think you need to be able at some point to say we have, if it's 20 individuals, we have 20 individuals that they don't care if they're the guy or the girl to score the goal, because we understand that whoever scores, we all score, and whoever blocks a shot, we all block the shot. And it's a great idea in principle, but it does take time to implement, because when you're in the heat of the moment and everyone's ready to go, it definitely there's some coaching to be done there, and there is some talks to be had. But I do believe our Caribou year that we won in 2019, I do believe that was the case, right. And it was exemplified in our playoff efforts, and we are very, very close to it right now with the Northern Capitals. We have an outstanding group, a bunch of selfless individuals that are fully immersed in the team culture, and they support one another. And that, I think, for me, is the biggest message. And then obviously the systems and the skills stuff comes into play. And I think, Mario touched on it. I think he does a tremendous job with our systems. He worries a lot about that. Jordan Shanks, our other assistant coach, does a really good job with individual tactics and skill. And, I kind of do my best to ensure that, like I said, we're all on the same page, that we're all aiming for that common goal, while also tapping into the hockey side of things as well. But I do think the mental side of things is extremely important, especially if you're wanting to win a championship, for sure.
I definitely agree. The mentality behind it is key. And with that, when players come through your program, what do you hope that they remember you by?
As a coach, I mean, I always bring it back to kind of when I was a player, because it was what inspired me as a player. My coach in Kindersley was everything I could have hoped for in a coach. It was a guy that had the time to work on skills with me, be straight up with me about what I needed to improve on. But then he would also ask me how my brother was doing at university, what my parents did for a living. We could have those conversations about life and just things that weren't hockey oriented. And I think for me, that built a trust where I would go to the wall for you as a player if I knew you cared about me as a person. And I think that's kind of what I have always tried to, at least to the best of my ability anyway, tried to make known to my players, is that, hey, we're people first. We all have families, we all have siblings, and we're hockey people second. And for me, I'd hope that any player that's kind of left any program I've been a part of would say that, I could be open and honest, and there would be no judgment, and we would have a conversation to get to where we needed to be, regardless of what the issue was. And yeah, because that's what worked best for me. I really didn't identify well with coaches where it was only hockey talk and that was it. I felt there was always more to kind of be discovered in the relationship between the coach and the players, and that's kind of what I've hopefully done my best to tap into.
Well, it's really true. Like when, your coach, or even like for me in school, like when the teacher can connect to you on a, on a real personal level and show that there's a genuine care for how things are going in your life, that creates kind of like a bond that almost becomes unshakable. And so I'm really glad that you brought that up. And so to finish off this interview, for any players considering their options for development here in the North, why should they choose your program?
Yeah, for any female hockey players that are wanting to make the next step, and to regardless of if they want to play at university, our program is run by a head coach that has extensive WHL and BCHL experience as a player, pro experience over in Europe. Our assistant coach was one of the hardest working Northern Capitals probably of all time. And she's a great hockey mind. And Trevor goes to the wall for all his teams as well. So if you're really thinking about wanting to be a part of a team that is made up of your entire region, the Northern Capitals can't be beat. So if you're from Northern BC and you fall in our feeder system, you're going to get great coaching through minor hockey, through our program, through school hockey as well, and you're going to be exposed to the next level as well through universities for exposure, through connections, and we'll work hard to make that happen for players, and also too for the players that come into the program and decide after that they don't want to pursue hockey. We're more than happy to have the conversation with them too about, well, what is it you want to do and how can we help with that? Because it doesn't always have to end with a scholarship or whatever the case may be, and we're more than happy to have those conversations as well. Our goal is ultimately to win and to hopefully bring home a championship at the end of the day. That's our on ice goal, but our off ice goal is to do our best by these players to move them on to whatever it is they want, and hopefully create a lifelong experience for them that they'll never forget. Because when I was 17, I have no problem saying that was the best year of hockey of my life. It was one that I definitely enjoyed the most, and it's one that it's the type of environment we're hoping to create for our players moving forward as well, because we know that years later it can definitely have a really positive impact.
Oh, for sure. And actually, one last question before we finish off here. I just thought of it. How important is it for players that have come through the program, found success, on and off the ice, to come back and to give back to the program and be a part of the next generation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's important if you have that love of the game, if you have that love of hockey, whether you're a player, a coach, whatever the case may be, the commitment's massive. And I don't believe you can be involved in this level of hockey and in this type of structure unless you have a massive passion for it. Obviously my brother does, I do. Chase Astorino is a guy I played Caribou Cougars with. He's done a heck of a job with any team that he's had this year. Ryan House has done a great job. Stu Lambert, Jordan Duncan. If I'm forgetting anyone, I do apologize. Jordan Shanks, obviously former Northern Capital, all people that love hockey and decided to come back and give their time to it. But at the end of the day, it's, Trevor's always said, it's not even about coaching or being a part, but if you're in town and you had great experiences, just seeing alumni at the rink and around town and kind of having the Caribou program to talk about and to reminisce on and talk about the past and the present and the future, it definitely kind of forges those lifelong friendships and those bonds. And it's something that for former players in both the men's and women's programs should be very mindful of, that it doesn't end just because you're maybe aged out or moved on to other things. The door is always open for sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you for your well thought out answers and giving your time to me today. And we'll definitely do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.